Hey everyone, welcome to today's podcast. I'm really excited to get involved in this movement, Black Lives Matter, and I have one of my friends and biz besties on. She's going to be talking on how we can get more involved in the Black Lives Matter and the Black community to support them and create more change and movement, and whether it's in your business or in your life. So I'm bringing on Jacqueline Lawson, and she's a spiritual leader and shaman. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Jacqueline. I apologize if you're hearing the buzzing. There's been a huge response from these conversations that we're having, and my DMs are just blank. I need to next time I'll turn the notifications off. I'm sorry. But yeah, my name's Jacqueline, and I'm a shaman and spiritual teacher. I have a process that I do where we energetically and physically, mentally and emotionally change and transmute the negative thoughts and components that no longer serve you so that you can actually act, think, live, breathe, and be grounded in your present, but knowing that your biggest dreams and desires are actually possible. For me, I like instant gratification. And if I can't have $1 million right now, I at least want to know that I can.
Yeah, I
So
love
at
that.
least yeah, right. Thank you. So like if I have that knowing, then at least I can, I can move from that space a lot easier. It's not this thing that doesn't seem unattainable, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of coaches are wanting to help, wanting to, speak up, wanting to reach out, wanting to do something, but are just completely unsure of what to say or what to do. I spoke with in one of my conversations, one of my influencers, she was saying, Cara Maria, she was saying that her stars, because she's on that show The Challenge, she was saying that her co-stars were being dragged essentially because if they said something, they would get dragged for not saying enough. If they did something, they would get dragged for not doing enough. And so she was in this this state of fear where she wanted to do something, but she didn't want to get, treated harshly like her her co-stars. I don't know what they shared, what they did, what they said. I didn't look at any of their profiles. I don't have anything against them as people or anything like that, but I only follow Cara because she's the one that I'm her fan, or I was, and now I guess, yeah. So anyways, like, so yeah, I don't know, but I do know that wanting to do something but not knowing how sucks. It's fearful. And what the Black community really, really, really needs and wants right now is support and change and justice and integration. And what better way to establish that or start to actually establish that is forming a amazing foundation between the Black and white community with those who are already for the movement and for change and for justice and progression,
I like that you said that, where it's like we're not like saying people who don't actually care to just go post a black square and go post something. It's people who are already wanting to get involved, kind of tips on how or how to create more change.
Absolutely. And that's what I appreciate. And I honestly have never been comfortable expressing my feelings around being a Black person or a Black woman or having brown skin. Like, I've always just been on the defense about it because I went to a private Christian school from preschool to seventh grade. Why am I getting emotional again? Why do I get emotional when I talk to you?
I'll hold your emotion.
Oh my gosh. And so being a little kid, you just want to be like everybody else. And that's kind of impossible when you're the only one that looks like you all the time.
Yeah. How did that feel?
Like, I'm never enough. Like, I'll never be enough. I'm ugly. I will always be. Any reference I'm paired up with is only because I'm Black, but not because of anything actually special about me, which should be okay, but is also labeled not okay because I'm like I don't even know how to describe it. It's like ugh. And it's been really hard, like out there, like ugh. And it's really hard to it's been a journey to not act from that space and not feel so harshly, like to not hold on to that anymore. And I'm
Yeah,
not gonna say I'm not holding on to it, but it's not the same. I feel like I've grown a lot.
that's awesome. So, what is the Black community looking for in maybe people who are their friends or businesses that they would like to support? Like, what's the Black community looking for? And these are people who they want to make an impact, but maybe they don't know how.
Okay, so the Black community is looking for a change, like I said. So the best way that I feel that the white community can start to begin to offer change and the movement for justice and true integration is to first think about if someone that you loved was Black. You know, think about how you would feel if you're hey, sorry, hey, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
um think about how you would feel if your mom was Black, or if your daughter was Black, or if your husband was Black. How would you want them to be treated? How would you want people to treat them? How would you want things to be? You know, something I mentioned in a conversation I had with an influencer yesterday is, you know, one of his questions was, do you feel that the government and our school system, are capable of being able to basically alleviate this state of racism that's happening in our country? And I said yes,
Yeah.
because I'm thinking, to me, here's the analogy I have, and I use this one because I have personal experience. The Black community feels like it's in an abusive relationship with its country. That's
Yeah.
exactly how it
And they
feels.
just
So
keep taking it and taking it. And instead of being able to speak up, because if you speak up, you'll get shamed or hurt. And so that's why I feel right now, so many people are speaking up because it's like more people are and there's more support. But without that support and without that help, I feel like people were getting hurt or shamed or like, oh, this, I don't know if it's bad to say that, but this crazy Black lady is like complaining online, where like now there's more support and there's more people coming up, that it's like it's creating more impact because there's a lot more people speaking up.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I've been tagged in posts, and the support is super awesome, and I really, really, really appreciate it. As long as we just keep it going. Like, I feel like there's forces that are gonna try to distract us with something else, and I feel like they're gonna try and shove this down like it has been.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just don't want that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be afraid to go anywhere. I don't want to be like you, that awesome post you put up about Utah. I don't want to be afraid to go to Utah because I'm Black. I would like to go to Utah. I hear that it's really beautiful, and I'm a nature person, and my spiritual teacher Teal Swan, you know about her,
Yeah.
she's from Utah. And so, like, or she lived there. And so yeah, it's just everyone, we just want normal everyday peace for everybody, and I don't think that that's too much to ask.
Yeah. And for that, what she just brought up is Black people in Utah are more disproportionately killed by the police than any other state. At a mere 1.06% of our population, Black people have accounted for 10% of police killings over the past 7 years. So, what I brought up to you earlier was that you don't really witness as much racism in Utah, but it's probably because there's a lot less Black people. But it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And so I'm guessing like this is hidden. And it's also because like there's not as many Black people, so you don't like notice it. But that's crazy. That's crazy. How many, like, it blows my mind. And just
But
because you don't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
yeah, but also too, like, if you it's easier to not see it as being ignorant or racist if there's no black people when people are saying it. I feel like if a black person was there, then maybe you would have energetically more sensitivity to picking it up. But when people, I feel like if you're within your own race and you're speaking of other races, you feel a lot more comfortable to say certain things, and that becomes second nature, and then it's perpetuated by social acceptance and whatever. And so like, there's a lot of things that I feel like how the black community, I was telling you in our last conversation, how we're raised to be aware of stereotypes and racism and all those things. um like it might be in the opposite side too, like maybe in the white community it's a natural thing to like say certain things or do certain things that you don't even know are offensive, but like there's nobody around to say, hey, that's not okay, but nobody wants to be around to say it's not okay because they don't want to die. So it's like it's just messed up. you know
So I have one thing to say for kind of more for women, or this could go for men too. But one thing that maybe this might help, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but what I realized is growing up, sometimes I had this fear that Black women hated me or they judged me because maybe they looked at me like, oh, this little white person or something. And I changed my thought process. And I was like, you know what? Why don't I just treat them like I treat everybody else? Why, instead of me judging, making a judgment that they don't like me or that they blah, 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 mad at me or whatever, why don't I just try to treat them like everybody else? So I started doing this a lot younger. Like, I mean, like younger, like elementary school. And so I would just be like, why don't I just like treat them like everybody else? Or actually, this is more like when I'm older, because I date a lot of diverse cultures. Like, literally, I'm open to all. So I would be like, okay, well, how would I treat this person normally? I would probably go up and be friendly and like, oh my gosh, you're beautiful. Or, hey, how are you doing? Whether or not they like me, because sometimes, not gonna lie, same with everybody, they'd be like, look at me and play, like, do their own thing. But also, if I kept doing that, I would also notice I'd make more friends. And I'd notice that they'd treat me the same right back and they'd be friendly. So I challenge people to, I don't know, this girl messaged me recently and she was like, I'm afraid to reach out to them. And I'm like, dude, just treat her like everybody else. She's like, but I don't want to say this wrong thing. I'm like, stop it. Like, stop making it this big deal and just treat them like everybody else. Treat everybody like everybody else. Asian, Black, Mexican, like everything.
hmm Absolutely.
Um,
I actually have a story too that I think maybe I shared with you already, but I could share with the viewers who are going to watch this. That my dad, who actually, I want to point out, my father is a retired black cop too. So it's not all cops, it's just the racist ones.
mhm.
Um, and, the ones who don't speak up. um, he went to a store and there was like five people in front of him, including the cashier. All of them were white, right? And he's the only black person in line. The cashier greeted each and every single person with respect, like, hello, sir, hello, ma'am, how are you, blah, blah, blah. And when he got to my dad, he was like, sup, man? Like, first of all, my dad was offended because he's old school. You respect your elders. He still respects his elders. The kid was younger, so it was like, what are you doing? Second of all, um, why would he not speak to my dad with the exact same etiquette that he spoke to the other customers before him? Clearly, he had a rhythm going. Why'd he change up?
Yeah, so instead of trying to change how you speak to anybody else, like people of color, not people of color, and changing it based on your own assumption, be like, how would I treat this person if I didn't judge them based on their color? Like, how would I
Yeah.
treat them like everybody else? And I think I started doing that like a lot younger. Plus, I was raised, somebody asked me, I think it was you were like, why do you get it and nobody else? I was like, because I was raised differently. I was raised to look at everybody the same. I was raised to love people the same. I was like, I never even really saw color until my name's Letitia. I don't know if you knew that. But people would always be like, you have a Black name. I'm like, okay, Cool. Like, so I got that a lot. And I don't know, even as a little child, I had black Barbies and brown Barbies and like, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, I just wasn't raised with like one small little bubble.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I want to say wholeheartedly, genuinely, that I appreciate all of that you said. I completely appreciate that you, yeah, no, I do. My sister's best friend was posting on her Insta the other day of her daughter, and her daughter's like one, like barely, not even one. And she had this little black baby doll. And yeah, and she had, and on the bottom, she posted 4 different photos that were stemming from like February to like, I don't know, April or something, or May. And she left the dates on there because, you know, people, it's her only child. So she's,
Yeah.
you know, you take a lot of photos. So she left the dates on there. And so, and then she put captions. She was like, children do not see color.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Because
Yeah.
honestly, I have to be very candid. Like, usually in everyday life, because we're raised to be completely aware of people being against us in one way or another because of the color of our skin or whatever. Um, Whenever someone says, I don't see color, it's like, why don't you see me? That's kind of
Yeah.
how it feels.
Yeah.
Like, are you ignoring the fact that I'm black? Are you ignoring, like, are you ignoring people saying things about black people? But then just now, when you were telling that story about you being a child, it freaking reminded me that children don't. And that
Yeah.
brings me to this other point that I had that I love that I've been sharing is like, I literally do not believe that any child comes from pure positive energy into this physical world as a racist. I
Yeah.
don't believe it. So the
I don't either.
problem I have is like, if you were raised to think and feel and say certain things, I'm sorry, that sucks, especially because I'm being affected by it directly.
Mhm.
But what you, something that people say, this like rich quote, it's like, how you were born and how you die are 2 different things.
Wow. What
Like,
does that
you have,
mean?
it means like you, if you were born poor, then that wasn't your choice. But if you die poor, then that's your fucking choice. So
Yes,
if
I
you
agree.
are, you know, if you were raised to think racist things and act like an asshole, like, that's one thing. But if
Hmm.
you continue to do it and you die that way, motherfucker, bye.
Yes. And so all those people that maybe you're raised around white people, maybe you're from Utah. I bet there's lots of people from Utah tuning in because I'm from Utah. Like, challenge your fucking beliefs. Like, challenge what you were raised with and be like, hey, wait, maybe racism does exist. Hey, wait, maybe my religion that I was raised with, maybe I should like go study other religions. So I'm not just like this one-sided thing. Maybe like, oh, like I was raised thinking everybody was treated fairly and like there's not a lot of racist people. Maybe you should go like understand what's actually going on in other parts of the world. uh New Orleans, what are some other like crazy racist states? I mean, there's
Oh, Wyoming might be. I
Wyoming.
don't, I've never been there. I know someone who lives there, and they say that it's not bad and then there's good people there, and I completely believe them, but at the same time I haven't been there and I wouldn't really be comfortable. So like, honestly, here's what, actually, let's put it this way. I don't want to call out Wyoming because I've
Yeah,
never
yeah,
been there. But what I want to do is say black people have a fear of any area that is predominantly white, and like, there's no sign of, you know, there's no sign of color anywhere. If there's no sign of color anywhere at all, like, that's kind of a signal to black people like maybe you shouldn't live there.
yeah. And there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll share this story again, but one of my best friends in Orange County, actually, I met her in Utah and I moved to Orange County like after she moved. And um, Laguna Beach is super predominantly white. It's super white. Like, there's, I date black men, and sometimes when we go into places, they're like, pretty much if we go somewhere, we get stared at. And that's a thing. And it's not something that other white people or not people of color would notice, but they do. They do. And it's something that maybe I didn't notice while I was growing up very much because I'm so in like my happy bubble that I didn't really notice, but they let me know. And so I would understand that and I'd be aware of it, but I wouldn't act like it's happening because I like to be happy and bubbly and fun, but I would know that it does. And so, I don't know, me and her went to Laguna Beach. It was probably on a weekend. We were going out. Um, she was driving. She didn't drink. I had a few drinks. And we saw this cop, and he was literally following us everywhere. Like, we'd turn, he'd turn. We'd go in a neighborhood, he'd go in a neighborhood. And, you know, you can talk about this in a second, but usually people of color are taught from a very young age to be careful and have different things and how to act when cops pull you over. And so she told me, she's like, we're probably going to get pulled over. We're not speeding, but you need to like shut your mouth and just like don't say anything. And I was like, okay, because she knows I'm pretty like feisty. So when we got pulled over for no reason, we he she asked like, hey officer, why'd you pull me over? He didn't answer. And then she's a lawyer, so she knows her rights, but she kept her hands on the wheel and she had to ask for permission to open her glove box. And then he continued to like treat her like fucking shit. Like do you have drugs in the car? Is this your car? Like, can I check? I'm pretty sure he shined the light in the background, which happens, but then he wanted to check her trunk. And then he presumed to do 3 or 4 drunk tests. 3 or 4, I remember. And I was just like sitting there like, oh my gosh, because that's never happened to me.
Yeah.
And I never even knew that I had to ask, like, people had to ask for permission to open their glove box or that they had to tiptoe around so much. So I don't know. That was like one of those experiences that I was just like, wow. And that he was like, is this your car? Because it was a nice car. And he acted like it was this tone. It was this rude tone of like, is this your car? Because it's nice. Like, you could just
Yeah.
hear the disrespect.
Yeah, he was trying to get a rise out of her too, because once she starts popping off and saying "fuck you," then he has the right to ask her to get out, and then she'll say "be mad," and then yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And it sucked. Like, we were so uncomfortable, and it's a nice, Laguna's Beach is a nice, expensive, fucking white, rich neighborhood. It is. So there's not a lot of Black people.
yeah.
So it's kind of normal. So I would like maybe for people listening, like, what were you taught, like, when you were raised? Like, for people to understand this is a thing.
Okay, so first I kind of want to say like things like that, it happens a lot, but we have to stop saying that it's normal. We have to
Okay.
say this shit's not fucking normal.
It's not
It happens
normal.
too goddamn often, and it needs to stop
Yeah.
because, like I said, like we all need to be in a consensual relationship
Mhm.
socially
Yeah.
because we haven't been. I know you and I are like so in our feminine. It's like
Yeah.
sacral chakra, root chakra. Let's do this. I'm so
Yeah.
here
No, I
for it.
like
But
that.
like, yeah, we need to.
It's not
It needs to
normal.
be consensual and yeah. Um, I'm sorry. You asked me a question and I forgot.
So just to kind of highlight what's the difference between how you're raised and how the white privilege, like, I wasn't taught that. Okay, so one of the white privilege things that I can 100% be like, I've never feared for my life or was afraid of a cop pulling me over, ever. I was never
Yeah,
afraid. I was afraid of getting a ticket. I was afraid, like, oh shit, this sucks. I was like, oh crap. I was never afraid of a cop or fear for my life or fear of being hurt or fearing of being pushed to
yeah.
react.
So I would say in that situation, a really good way for you to use your, white privilege would be if you had gone down and you reported that cop directly.
Oh, there you
You
go.
know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like being white Caucasian, that would have definitely made an impression. Or if you had gotten,
Mm.
people to like sign a petition, or if you had a bunch of your Caucasian friends go down with you, or if you had connections to somebody who was higher up who could do something about it,
Ah.
or things like that. I saw a post today that I'd seen before, but it didn't hit as hard as it does now in the segregation crisis that we're in. Um, or should I call it like, I should call it something else. I should call it, I
What
don't
if
know.
it's a
Disagree.
movement? That's what I like to say. I like to highlight
Integration
the
movement. Yeah,
happiness, the change, because
yeah,
honestly, it is kind of like a movement right now, and there are a lot of
yeah.
people rising, and I think that makes it more of a like a powerful thing because yes,
Yeah,
there's a lot of like bad things going on in the world, but there's also a lot more people speaking up and showing up and being like, "Ooh, let's make some change. Let's understand. Let's educate ourselves."
absolutely. Thank you. That's so much better. Let's call it the integration movement. I like that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Okay. So the post I saw was of it was of Ella Fitzgerald and Marilyn Monroe. I don't know if you
Yeah.
posted it or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and it said that
But you cut out for a second, but yeah, they wouldn't even what Marilyn did was take she wouldn't even sing unless they booked her, and that she would show up every single time to create noise,
that's dope.
right? You cut out, so I thought I'd say that.
No,
And
no,
then,
that's cool.
yeah, I really liked what you said. Like I didn't even think of like reporting the cop or using my white privilege for good. Like that's really great.
Yeah.
We
So
have
it's
to be the
like
ones that speak up.
think of it this way. I love analogies. I love a good analogy and I love a good double entendre. So think of it this way. Um, you're standing up for your best friend.
Mhm.
Like if you're okay, let's say you're twin. Let's say you have an identical twin, okay, and your identical twin is black, but you both came out of the same womb, okay, and people are picking on your twin. It's like you want to be that big sister, but
Yeah,
you're equal.
yeah,
So it's like big sister and big brother energy, but we're fucking equals.
yeah.
Like I'm gonna stand up for you. That's like the perfect way to start thinking about it when you want to know how to better support the black community and use your white privilege for support in the integration movement now that we've both just termed it. Like
Yeah. And what are you looking for businesses that do care? Do you care about posting or is it more like integration? Like, okay, so I know of a company that's local and she's not making any posts, but she has black employees and she's also like she does care, but she's not making posts. Like, do you judge that? Like, what would you
yeah,
recommend? This is just something that, yeah.
no, I unfriended somebody on Facebook just yesterday because they came up on my feed and what they posted was general BS. And I was like, I don't know this person, but I'm friends with them on my Facebook. And so I went to their page and that was the first thing that they had posted in a while. And it had nothing to do with BLM or anything like that. And so I was like, I can confront this person and ask them if they care, or I can just unfriend them. So I just unfriended them because I felt like I had enough. First of all, I'm not trying to be confrontational just to be confrontational. And second of all, I didn't really have the energy to have that conversation with this person I didn't even know. So
Is it just because they didn't post anything or
yeah, she didn't post anything at all. She didn't post anything. And I was like, well, I don't know you and you didn't post anything. So I'm going to unfriend you.
yeah.
Because
So you do like
everyone
somebody posting because I was having this discussion on my Facebook and like some people don't post, some people don't say anything, but what really is just a black square. Like if you're not actually making change, I don't know. So I guess it's everybody's different, but some people are like, well, I don't care if somebody posts a black square post if they don't actually care and they don't believe in this. They're like just doing it to not cause a scene or to look okay, you know?
Yeah. But I mean, if somebody doesn't want to post because they don't believe in the movement, I don't want them to post because that way we can point them out,
Yeah.
you know? because that's the point. You
Mhm.
know, that's a part of the change, you know, not the whole point, but that's a part of the change, you know, like, yeah.
Do you think it is, even whether or not anything, it is impactful for them to show where they stand, a business or a person?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that person. I don't know her life. I don't know if she had been sick for 6 months or something like that and she was in a coma last for a month or something. I don't know. And she just started posting again and this is what she wanted to post about. I have no idea. But I don't
So you
know.
wouldn't like go on each friend and be like, oh my gosh, she didn't post something, defriend, 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 or
To be honest with you, I had that thought. I was like, I'm gonna have my team do this. Like, I was so serious. And then I was like, you just need to calm down. Like, you're just like really upset right now. And when
emotions.
you're upset and you think people are against you, it's easy to your mind to start thinking that more and more and more people are hidden and against you. Okay. So it's hard because on one end, it's happening, right? So it's happening and then it's just like you don't want to live in this state of fear, you know, like I don't know, I'm trying. So that's why I feel like it's important that we just have integration so that nobody has to worry about somebody being against them. And then at the same time too, like that comes out in actions. Like if you say something to me and it's harmless from your per your intention, right? And I take it because I'm like, ah, she hates me because I'm black. Another white girl hates me because I'm black. This is bullshit, you know? Like, I might lash out at you for that, you know? And then we're not friends. Like, you know? And so, I don't know. It just, it sucks because I feel that, you know, the only reason why people are rioting and things are getting crazy and people are upset is because we want peace.
Yeah,
That's the only
ultimately,
reason.
yeah, we want peace, but I feel like speaking up helps promote that. I feel like sharing videos and sharing uh past stuff is educating people. And so for me, at first I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be posting so much. People are going to think I'm like overdoing it. And then I was like, you know what? I'm so behind this that I want to educate and I want this to be about change. And I want to educate all my followers that are probably predominantly white. And you know what? My followers go up and down. One day I lost 10, the next day I got 10. So, like, it does go up and down, but I'm filtering them out and I'm getting my message across and I am behind it. So,
Yeah.
I don't I don't know. I'm doing it because I believe in it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I honestly wouldn't worry about them.
So, I was curious. I had a question on, okay, so this happened. This is a business that she a person I really look up to, that I really, really I looked up to. And I was wondering how somebody should do a better way of handling a situation. So somebody called this leader out and she was like, you are posting, but you have no integration of the Black community in your business. Your your event has all white speakers. Okay. She called her out and she's like, and you're pretending that you're like with the Black community, but you're not. And then, so you know what she did? She didn't like come out and talk about it like publicly on what the real issue was. What she did is she went and added a Black speaker into her community, but then just pretended everything was cool.
Oh,
So
just
he's getting shit all over the internet. And this is somebody that I really looked up to. And so I'm wondering, what would you recommend somebody to do? Because I know what I would say, but I want to hear what you would say.
I mean, just it's to just run out and get one black person. It's like
It's like saving face. It's like she's trying to
I'm,
save face.
that's like saying something racist and saying it's okay to say it because you have a black best friend. Yes, I have a lot of emotion. So I feel that okay, for one, if okay, so it depends on what her actual intention is. All right, if her intention if her pure intention is she doesn't care about the Black Lives Matter and she just doesn't want her business to tank, um, you're not gonna, I mean, what are you gonna do with her? Like, you're not gonna be able to change her mind. She's already gonna want to do what she wants to do. But at the same time, she businesses and people who think that way will only be able to hide themselves temporarily, because we will have change and we will have justice, we will have integration, and those who are not authentically and genuinely lined up with it will be exposed like a thorn in the side
Yeah.
of justice. I am not
So
even kidding.
yeah, exactly. So she's getting exposed on a lot of platforms,
Yeah.
hundreds of thousands of views. And I'm just going to say what a different person that I follow her, Boss Babe Inc. Okay. You can let me know if this is a good way to do it. So, what she said is she, in her private group, she was like, I apologize, you guys. I realized that we haven't been integrating the Black community in our business as much as we should. And she was like, I would like to use this platform to highlight more people, get more speakers, more employees. And she was like, I apologize for not being, I don't know, I have the post, I'm pretty sure I took a picture. But do you think that was a little bit better to like be like, wow, I'm doing poorly in using my platform, and now I would like to? And it came off very genuine. So what do you think?
Absolutely. I'm all for it. Like, I feel like it's a waste of energy to assume that someone isn't being genuine when they are,
Yeah.
because the real issue um is like, I just feel like we have to make sure that we focus our energy in the right spaces. Like, if you put too much energy on certain people and not the actual like energy of the cause of what's happening, like, it's gonna get lost. It's gonna get really lost. Like, the looting and rioting is horrible, but if we
Yeah.
only talk about rioting and we only talk about black on black crime, which I feel is a way for people in the white community to distract from it, the serious issue of the segregation,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, it's gonna make it like it doesn't matter. It's gonna make it
Yeah.
minute. It's gonna make it, you know what I mean? It's like trying
Yeah.
to push it and make it go away. Like,
Hmm.
we have to stay focused. And like, I every time I do a talk, before I do a conversation like this one, like, I literally have to sit and like meditate, because I have so many emotions coming up. I have so many fears coming up about the responses, who's gonna watch it, what they're gonna say to me, if they're gonna, like, what their reactions are gonna be. Like, I have so much anxiety, but then I'm like, you know what? We're having this conversation because this, like, I'm talking to this particular progressive coach because this coach cares about the integration, and this coach has a following that cares about the integration. And even if there are some people who watch it who don't, I feel like the whole point is going to do so much more massive change than worrying about those who aren't lined up.
Yeah.
I listen to Abraham Hicks, and something that they say all the time is, one who is connected to the source is more powerful than millions who are not.
Yeah.
And I strongly believe that.
Ooh, I really like that. Yeah. So like your voice, the person who does care, it matters a lot. Matters significantly. So whoever's listening that is like, "Oh my gosh, I'm not posting and blah blah blah, but it doesn't really matter." It does. If you care, it does.
Yeah, it does. It matters a lot. We care a
And,
lot.
and
Yeah.
I'm so thankful that actually the people that I mostly connect to, like the ones that are like my like biz besties and people, like I am watching them post and I am watching them start speaking. And my clients, they're doing their vulnerable posts in their white community, being like, I didn't know how to speak up. I was afraid. I was afraid to be judged, but I didn't make it about me, and I'm sharing this. And she shared it vulnerably, and she shared it without knowing what is right. And she did it like a lot of my clients have. And I'm proud of them. And I support them. And I'm like thankful that the people that I naturally vibe with are actually showing up.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of ones that aren't. And I'm like, okay, not her. She's not coming on my podcast. Not her. I don't trust her. But I naturally kind of choose people that align with me because I'm so extra. But like, I'm like, oh, that's why I never really connected with her. Oh,
Right?
yeah, yeah,
That's a thing.
yeah.
Uh,
Yesterday, go look at my post. Somebody's like, I went and looked at her profile. Yes, I do this. And I noticed, because she wrote on my post, she's like, I don't think that anybody should be like put down of not posting, or I just promote peace. So I was like, I'm not promoting peace. I'm I'm, I'm promoting change. I didn't respond to her though. And then I just responded with the Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter thing. I'll read it in a second, but I went and looked at her thing. She hadn't posted anything. And I was just like, because she doesn't care. She doesn't see it. She doesn't understand.
Yeah. So how you can start to think about in favor of the Black community. I'm just going to go down the list. We talked about it before. Imagine your loved one is Black, how you would feel, how you want them treated. Be real with where the Caucasian race is, or how it sits with the Black community. Be real with your current or race feelings towards the Black community. Our wants is we want understanding, compassion, empathy, we want justice, and we want change. Um, we want to hear from the white community. Um, I'm with you. I stand with you. I am for you. I will speak up for you. I will walk for or with you. I will stand up for you. I will do my best for you. We want to feel respected. Like that story I
Mm-hmm.
was telling my dad and the cashier. We don't want you or anyone to change up when it's our turn.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we want to know that the white community wants change and wants to change their negative thoughts, feelings, actions, lack of action, speech or lack of expression. Speak to us with respect, hear us, listen to us, believe us when we tell you things are not right, help us fix it, stand up for us, sit with us or for us, to have compassion, and yeah, to remember if it was on the other foot, if it was anyone that you loved, or if you were Black, how would you want to be treated?
Yeah. So there was this public speaking event a long time ago, and she asked the participants and the people listening, stand up if you'd like to be treated like the Black community. And nobody stood. So just kind of flipping it in reverse and being like, oh, like it doesn't happen, or blah, blah, blah. I treat people fine, or the people around me treat people fine. Like that was an impactful question. Like, would you like to be treated like the Black community?
Yeah.
Nobody stood because, okay, maybe subconsciously they actually know, but they're trying to deny it because it's painful or uncomfortable.
Yeah, because then you have to take some personal responsibility for, you know, I have to figure out how I want to word this, because I don't want to make it seem like I'm saying you are to blame because you're white. It's more so like, understand the impact your whiteness has on the Black community, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and what you could do with it,
Mm-hmm.
like Spider-Man, like with great power comes great responsibility kind of thing, you know? And it's like, if you have any kind of power, which we all do as human beings and multidimensional beings having this human experience, it's like, how are you gonna use that power? How are you gonna use that energy? I grew up in a Christian um, household. I don't identify as Christian now, but I do take some learning teachings. And one of them is, when two or more people pray on something, it happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that when a strong collective has an intention, it has to be carried through. Like law of attraction, it's law, it has to.
I love that. And I actually have to go, but yes, I love that. And that was a great way to end it. Um,
Oh, I wanted to say really quickly, make
okay.
sure you vote, and everyone has to register to vote and to care about the character of the people running and to throw away the ideas of red versus blue. We're not gang members. We're okay, like
The character. Do they care
yeah,
about people? Are they
yeah,
out there all about murdering people and fighting and violence, or do they actually care about people and love and community? Hmm?
yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Ah! Okay.